end of the tutorial, you should be able to create characters like this in Blender using just PNG files, that is image files. So let's get started. Hello everyone, welcome to 2-3D. So this is where we stopped in the last video, and now we're just going to jump into animation. So what we need to do is just to animate a walk circle. So let's just create a reference image, because I'm going to be animating from a reference image. I'm going to import that in a moment so you'll be able to understand what I'm doing. Okay, so let's just name this keep. You could name it whatever you want. So I'm just giving a keep, and then all you need to do when you're importing a reference is just to drag and drop. So drag and drop. It's the same thing as going here and pressing Ctrl A, and then you come down here and then this reference. So it's just to dragging and dropping is just the best way of handling this. So I'm just going to locate my file, my PNG file, drag it, place, boom. Scale it up a bit with S. So my screencast is not available. Let me just make that active. So boom, scale it up with S, scale it to this point. This point is good. So let's flip it. So to flip it, you could alternatively rotate it on the Z-axis, or rotate on the Z-axis till it's opposite, but I prefer using scale. So use S, scale on the X-axis, and then -1. Perfect. This is it. So now this is let's just drag this behind our character, because we do not need it in front of our character. So the white is clashing, so all I just need to do is to come here, that's to the data, come here, come to opacity. Under empty, you select opacity and then drag it down, just so that it doesn't clash with this. So now when we're selecting stuff, we could easily mistakenly select this. To ensure that you do not select this, to lock this out of selection, all you need to do is to come here, click this, and then this selectable will be available. So you click that, you activate that, and then now you can click this, and then this will not be selectable anymore. Perfect. Okay, so now all we need to do first is, let's try this pose. So let's do this pose first, because she's like default right now. So let's place her in this pose, and then we'll ride on from there. So first thing we need to do is to select our bone, and then select our bone, go into tab, like click it's going to pose mode, and now we could animate this. But then we have to, when we move this, so let's move this into position. So this leg is kind of like upwards at this point position. Let's use the move tool. If I use G, or I drag it to this position here, and then I rotate it, let's do rotate. Let's just move it like this, a tad bit forward, and she's sort of like straight down. Okay, yes, so we do not have to move her. Let's move her waist just a little bit downwards, just a bit, just so that her knee is a bit bent. And okay, so her hands are a bit forward. So let's just select everything. So you see now nothing is entering. No, there's nothing that is making itself like, there's no key. So right now there's no key, so we'll have to key this manually. Select this I and key in location, rotation, and scale. But that's really cumbersome, doing that over and over. So what you can do to just ease yourself a bit is to use the auto key. So when I select the auto key, whenever I move this, it keys in automatically. But then I have to select everything, use A to select everything, and then put in a key manually, because we need to, this, what we're doing now is blocking. So we are blocking it, so we do not need any key that is not in the right position. So let's just block this. So we'll press I, and then we'll key in the location, rotation, and scale. Boom. Now we have all her bones here keyed in. So now let's go back into object mode. Control tab will take you back from pose mode to object mode. So now I want her arm to move forward a little bit, because this is sort of like centered. So let's just rotate that just a little bit, and then let's do the same for this, rotate it just a little bit. But now I'll have to select this and also key this in, key that in, like that, which is just going in and trying to select this and turning around to select the fingers and stuff like that. It's going to really take so much time. So I'm going to create a new collection. So just create a new collection here. Let's just name this. Okay, for what is the most annoying thing, this is like the 4th time OBS is crashing on me. So I'm just going to explain. I don't want to go back again and start afresh. So all I just did was create this selectable collection. So to do that, you can click here to do that. If that's not available to you, drag this out, or you could come to an empty position, you click this and then new collection, you create that. And then all I did was drag all the objects that I need to animate. So I needed to animate the arm, this, and the fingers, and even the other arm, because it's really difficult selecting this manually like on the screen. So that is why I did not do that. Instead, I created a collection. This collection is supposed to enable you to easily select everything. So you click, you select object, and then everything that is inside of it will be selected. And then now you can key in, you can just use I to key in the location, rotation, and then the scale. So it makes your work way easier. I'm just going to continue from there. I've been able to create, like, I didn't even know that the thing crashed. So I was able to create like 3 more keyframes. So we are just going to continue from there. We were able to create this one, and then this one is the same. So we did not have to create this one. So we created this and this, and this is the last one we created. So now we're about to create this one. So just bear with me. Okay, so now we've created this one and we've keyed it in. We've keyed her legs too, so we do not have to. Let's key in the location, rotation, and scale. Okay, so now we've keyed in, that is for this pose here. Now we're going to be doing this pose, and after this pose is more of like the flip version, the initial starting point sort of. So I think it's just like 25 frames that we need, or 30. I think eventually I'll definitely know. So I think it's like 30 frames we need. So let's go to 25 now, and then now let's try to replicate this. I'll make sure I keep putting my eyes on this just to ensure that this is still recording. Okay, so let's do that. So you select this, you move it with G. You see that it is flipping, and that it's flipping because this it has gone beyond this. Whenever it goes beyond that bound, it assumes that it's a flip that it needs. So that is why it's flipping towards the opposite direction. And just to fix that, drag this forward at 25. So when you drag it forward, now you can move this past that point. So something like this is what we need, I think, for something like this. And in this case, we need to take her up a bit. Yep, up. That's perfect. So now let's move this backwards like this. Okay, this is far too backwards. Let's rotate this. I forgot to rotate this. So you rotate this just so that it doesn't look weird. Let's just bring this G. Let's move this like this to this point, and I think this is the farthest it can go, and which is fine. Let's rotate this like this, and then let's rotate this. Perfect. Okay, so let's just select everything, hit I, and then add in a keyframe right there. And the arm, if you notice, this point at this point is the other arm, so we need to rotate this to this position. Just ensure that it is fixed properly. So G, move it to the right position, and then let's do something like this is what we need. So let's rotate this further, let's rotate this like this, and just ensure that it is fixed at its right position. Perfect. Okay, so now this arm, that's this shoulder, is what we need to rotate now. So let's rotate this further to this point. You can just make sure it is still placed correctly at the shoulder. Let's rotate this now. This is supposed to be like this to this point. So let's just move this G, move it into position. I think this is too far. This is too far. No, it's too far. It should be like this to this position. And this is an extreme walk. I'm not even supposed to be using this. Is sort of like a cartoony walk, and this is sort of like a realistic character, but I'm just trying to push my bounds and see how much I can manage. And ignore this. I'm going to fix that in a moment. So now let's just select our selectable collection. Why do I keep saying folder? Select objects, and then let's key them in. Let's press I, and everything keyed in. Perfect. Okay, so now we're going to be making the final the final frame, keyframes. I think it's this. This should be the final keyframe. No, I think we still have two more. I think we have this to also worry about. Yeah, I think we still have that. So let's move to 30, and now let's move her legs to, let's move this to its rightful position. Let's try to, oh no, that's too zoomed in. So let's just try to place it like this. Perfect. Rotate. Let's, if you want to undo a rotation, so you can press Alt R. You see, we've now undone a rotation. So now let's move this backwards further. Rotate. Move further. Okay, I think this is good enough. And then now we need to drop her down. We need to make her go down a bit so that her knees bend, do something like this. Okay, one thing, I just need to move this upwards just a bit. That's perfect. Okay, so now with key, let's key in everything. Control, that's I, then we'll be able to key that in. Then now let's do the same for her arm, and in this case let's rotate this arm further backwards, ensure that it is fixed properly. Then let's rotate this, rotate. Okay, rotate. Let's just leave that. Now this arm is way forward, so let's take this. I'm using that because now I can select it because it's not hidden behind her. So let's rotate this further. Okay, so now that's fine. Let's now select all the selectables. Select objects, key them in I, then boom, location, rotation, and scale. So now this should be the final frame, but I'm going to be duplicating this frame and placing at 40 just so that everything works out, looks good. So 35, let's move to 35, and then let's replicate this right? Yeah, this. Perfect. Okay, so let's do something like let's move her legs backwards. So let's just do Alt R just so that we rotate this, and then move this a bit backwards. Move this like this upwards. Let's move this backwards a bit. Move this upwards a little bit. Let's rotate. Let's Alt R this so that the rotation will be removed. Remove the rotation here. Let's rotate this. We still have to rotate this to rotate. Let's select everything and key it I. Now let's do her arms. So at this point, her arms have reached the maximum rotation. So let's just rotate it further. And then we do not have to, let's not do that because it's bent properly. So now at this point, her arms are sort of at the same position with this, so let's just rotate it just a little bit so that there will be sort of like a bounce kind of thing. Let's just add a little bit of rotation like this. Doesn't hurt. So now let's select our selectables here. Select objects, I, key it in. Perfect. So now at 40, all we just need to do is select everything that is here, copy, paste. Now let's do the same for the bone. Select everything that is here, copy, paste. So now we have, okay, now the arm is like messed up, so let's work on that. The arm is messed up. Select all these objects. Okay, I think I made a mistake. I think the key in the first instance this, all the selectable, something was wrong with one of them. I think one of them was not selected properly or something. I don't think this one of them might be having a challenge. Anyway, let's just do select. We're at 40, right? 40. Let's do select all, select objects. Let's shift D and move it into place and see if it will, boom. It's shift D that it needs. Do not use copy, just use shift D and you get that to the same position. So now let's try and place let's end our frame at 40. So let's just do 40 here. This is where you'll be able to add, make it like create more frames or reduce the amount of frames in your videos. So let's take note of that. Now let's see what we have so far. Let's save it, and then let me just turn this off, and then let's play it. And if you remember, everything there's no interpolation, so everything is just supposed to be sort of like okay, this. So okay, there is an issue with the ease because her going up, it doesn't look so bad, but it seems like her going up at one point is a bit slowed. So I'm just supposed to identify that point because there is sort of like she stayed down for too long. So I'm supposed to identify that point and actually fix that. And is her breast bouncing? Yep. Look at that. Very, very cool. Okay. So let me identify that, and then I don't know. Let me just keep recording. Okay, so let's pause this and then activate everything. All these are elements. And then let me just control. Let's just control. No, it's just this point that is having the issue. So I think there is a point that this stayed for too long. So from here it was up, I think. And then it went down. Then at this point she was supposed to go up, and then finish going up at this point. So this point, let's just take her up a little bit, and we don't have to use I again because we've been able to keyframe it. So let's just auto key it. So at this point she should be absolutely upwards, like she should be up. So her leg should be straight, so something like this is perfect. So down, up, and then up, and then down again, then up, and then let's just copy this, copy and paste. Okay, so okay, this looks all right. This seems all right actually. Okay, I like what I'm seeing. So now is the time that we add interpolations. Okay, so let me just take a little break. Okay, before we add interpolation, there's something that I need to do. Okay, let's fix this first. This is an easy fix. So let's just move her hand to where this arm is visible. So now let's just move this. Let's come here. If you remember, how do we animate the fingers? We move the offset value. Let's move the offset value by 1, and then we'll have something like this. We could just leave it like this, and because there is no key in the first place, so it doesn't, there's no problem, it will stay like that. So we've not keyed in anything here, the offset yet, so it will stay like this in default. And since we do not need to do that, we'll leave it like this, of course. So before we go into that, there's something that I want to introduce you to, and that is anim all. That's this, and I talked about it in the previous in one of the previous parts. And this is what we're going to be using to fix this issue that I'm going to make you realize. So when you see her hands are moving, but they are moving in the form that she is in the left profile, but this character is sort of like a three-fourths view, so she's not facing completely left, neither is she facing forward, so she's in between forward and left. So her hands are not supposed to be like straight all through like this. It just feels wrong. So I'm supposed to make something that will make her arms look like it's poking forward this way. So it's not supposed to go this extreme. And that is what we're going to be using this animal for. This animal animates. It doesn't just animate in object mode. It will animate your mesh, that is your images, by the vertex code. So now let's do that. So let's come to this frame here, and this frame is fine because yep, see her hands are there. But now this is the frame that we need to fix, and I think this one too, and probably definitely this one, and not this one. And so at this frame here, but in the first frame, all we need to do is we need to activate location because we want to be able to animate its location. So this is not what we will be animating. This is the part we'll be animating, and then we'll be moving this into place. So we need to animate the location only of each vertices, and so we need to put a default in the first place. We need to let the app know what the default is. So now, how do we put the default? We just come here and insert keyframes, and since we're in edit mode and every other point is selected, and it doesn't have to be in edit mode, but I will say you should put it in edit mode when you're animating this, because there are certain things that you might be having some issues with. So now we just need to add in insert key here. So when you do insert key, boom, you've added you've added a key for your objects. That's for the vertices. So each vertices, a data has been sent for each location in space. That's in this 3D canvas. So now we have our default. So let's move on to this place, and then let's just get out of edit mode and then come back in, and then now let's select this point, and then this is what we need to move. So let's select both points like this. We need to move it and give it like a shortened kind of thing. So let's scale it. Let's make it like a shortening kind of, like the hand is poking through. So now let's add in a key, and when you add in a key, even when you're selecting just 2 or 4 of them will be entered in. So if I make this visible, if I make it bigger, you see all the vertices have been entered, and if you add any vertices, it will now be 6 or whatever, just however amount of vertices you have, it will add it. So now let's just make this, let's take this down a bit. Let's just ensure that this is recording, because yeah, I've been burned so many times. So now let's go out of edit mode, and then let's move our finger, because now let's move our finger into this. So let's move it like this to this position. Perfect. Okay, so now auto key is there, so it has been keyed in already. And if I move from this to this, as you can see, it's interpolating, and that is not what we want. So there is an interpolation that is going on here for this, and that is not what we want. We do not want this to be interpolating. So we want it to just be what is it called? It should just move from one point to the other. That is when constant. It should be constant, not linear. It should not be linear. So press T and then make it constant. And when you do that, now you see it moves from here, and then there is a shortened, it's shortened, and then boom, it goes back. So sort of like this. And let's do it for this also. Move this, and then now this is still shortened, so we can just ignore that and then move this into place. So something like this. And then let's move back to this point, move this in, and there's auto keying, so it's auto keying. So when we move to this position here, at this position, there's no need for it being shortened. So what we can do is we can manually fix this, or alternatively, we could select it like this. Select G, not G, Control D, Shift D rather, select this, make sure you are selecting the first frame, select this, Control Shift D, and then move it, and then boom, we'll have it at this position now. That's the unshortened version. And then back, and then back, we do not need the shortened here, we do not need the shortened here again. Okay, but now I think we do need this to be shortened. So now we need to replicate the same thing for this other arm, but we do not replicate it for it all through up until when it comes in front like this. So let's just select this and then move to 25, because I think it's at 25, yes. Okay, but before that, let's make sure we put a default. We set in a default for it. So I know it's not visible, but just insert a key. So now we have a default. And now when you move this, we could come here and animate this. Let's just move this into place like this. And then let's key it in. And then now let's move this into place. Boom. Now move, key this into place. Move, key this into place. Move. And then we do not have to do anything right there. Okay, perfect. So now we have like a foreshortened arm kind of thing. So it doesn't look very off. So if I play it now, you see that it's looking less off compared to what it was. So now, yep, it's looking all right, And honestly, there should be a foreshortener for like the upper arm, but it's still fine. It's still fine. We could leave it like this. It's looking all right. Okay. So now you've learned something new. Okay, so now that we have this, we could, in theory, we could add in, make it interpolate, and it will still look good, but there might be some fixes that we might have to consider. Let's say, okay, now let's go into pose mode. Let's add in, let's make everything, let's take this thing down so that it's neater. And then let's say I want to interpolate it in, like, make it linear. So let's press T rather, press T, and then let's make it linear. Let's make it Bezier. No, let's make it linear. Okay, so now it will interpolate through, so it will be smoother, the movement will be smoother, so you can see as she moves gradually, and it looks way smooth as I'm moving through. And if I play it, you see that her movement is really smooth, like she's walking smoothly and stuff, and which is good. I think the last frame is not identical, that is why it is having that whole, okay, no, it's not. Let me just move this down to 39. And now, okay, the reason why the legs are looking smooth, but okay, I'm not really certain. I think the last frame, the leg at the last frame. Oh, good. That's the issue. It's not identical. You see, the issue is this stays. That's not what we want. So select everything here. Let's just take this last frame, Shift D, duplicate it. I think it's because I use copy. Use Shift D, you don't use copy. So duplicate it and then move it. And now everything should move smoothly. Oh, perfectly. See, the legs are moving smoothly through everything. And let's just bring it down to 39 so that it doesn't even delay at all. Just moves on and on. Boom. It's looking perfect right now. But then if we want to replicate the same thing, we want to make sort of like an interpolated arm. You see, the arms are not interpolated. If we want to do that, we might run into some issues. We might. Yeah, actually, we definitely will. So let's just do that, and then I'll try and fix it if there is an issue. And I just hope there is an issue so that I'll be able to fix it in the first place. Okay, so now let's just pause this video, and then let's select everything that is within this selectable. Select everything, so select objects, and everything will be selected. So now if we just select everything and then we press T, then we'll move it from there to linear. Now it will look fine for some frames, but certain frames might have some issues. You see it's interpolating, and it doesn't seem to be having the issue that I was hoping for. it doesn't seem to be breaking. Actually, it's actually perfect. This is funny. Okay, yes, now that's the break that I was hoping for. I was really hoping for that. Okay, it seems like this hand is just the arm A is just perfect, so it's the arm B that breaks for some reason. So I'm definitely going to be fixing that. And the interpolation is because after selecting this, now we are interpolating, interpolating the vertex. So the vertex of the arm per se is being interpolated also. So the interpolation doesn't just happen to just the movement at this joint area, it also interpolates at the vertex. So this this animal is also interpolating. So how do we fix that? So the issue lies in, I think from this frame, this is when it starts going back to its default, and that's because I think it's not like I think, I need to add in, make this. Okay, so I need to add this at the last frame. So at what point does it start going back? It starts going back at, okay, so at this point, let's try and duplicate this. Shift D, let's move it in. Does it help? Oh no, let's use it at the last frame. Does this help? No, it doesn't. So let's use a default. Shift D. Good, this helps actually. So that is an easy fix for this. So I will make a separate tutorial that will show you way more complex movement that would actually break this thing I'm teaching you. But for now, this is actually very good. Now we have our animated character. Let me just save it quickly. So now we have her interpolated, her breast, everything is working perfectly. So everything is just smooth, her movement is sleek, and everything just looks great. So I know you're not seeing, it might not be very clear right now, definitely because Blender tends to reduce the quality while it's trying to animate it. So I'm going to render this, and then at the end of this video, or at the beginning of this video, definitely I would have showed you something like this. So thank you for watching. Please give us a like, give us a sub to help us to reach way more people, and to also help us to reach you more contents like this in the future. Thank you, and bye for now.